Okay, it's 12 noon. I'd like to begin this special meeting session of council. We have one item for action today under new business, being one resolution. Any recommended changes or additions to the agenda presented today? Okay, I'd like to call this May 25th, 2016 council meeting to order. Would you please stand for the pledge of allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Dragish?
Yes.
Mr. Kosar?
Yes.
Mr. Cicero?
Here.
Mr. Morvay? Mr. Tisch?
Here.
Okay, we are, this is a declaration of this meeting is a special meeting for the purpose of considering certifying a resolution to the county auditor pursuant to Ohio Revised Code section 5705.03.
Do you want me to explain why we're doing what we're doing?
Sure.
Okay.
Please.
Ohio Revised Code section 5705.19 provides that municipalities and other taxing authorities can levy a tax in excess of the 10 mil limitation. Any taxes today are in excess of the 10 mil limitation. The millage is cumulative, so school boards, county issues, park, etc., those all add up to 10 mil, so or beyond 10 mil. So what you have to do first is comply with Ohio Revised Code section 5705.03, section B1, which reads, when a taxing authority determines that it is necessary to levy a tax outside the 10 mil limitation for any purpose authorized by the revised code, the taxing authority shall certify to the county auditor a resolution or ordinance requesting that the county auditor certify to the taxing authority the total current tax valuation of the subdivision and the number of mills required to generate a specified amount of revenue, or the dollar amount of revenue that would be generated by a specified number of mills. After we get that information back from the county auditor, we can proceed with the resolution to levy a tax and submit it to the electors. But this is step one.
Thank you, Mark. Under recognition of persons desiring to speak before council, may I ask you step forward to the podium, state your name and address clearly for the record, and keep your comments brief. Frank McKeon.
Just so everybody understands, comments today must pertain to the stated business of the meeting.
Frank McKeon, 220 Glenview. This is perhaps a little late since this is already written, but as I said before, I think council ought to consider, instead of calling this a police levy, an operating levy. I think the chances of passage are greater with an operating levy in that it takes the police issue out of play. There's a lot of talk about too much police, excessive police, whereas with an operating levy you can throw in lead collection and police protection, etc., all under one umbrella. I think we ought to consider that. Thank you.
Thanks, Frank.
Thank you. A question, not for you, but maybe for Mark, along the lines of what you're saying. If we adopt this resolution as it is right now, this is just asking the county auditor to respond to 3.9 and give us the assessed valuations, isn't that correct?
Pretty much, although we do specify in a resolution that the reason we're doing this is to provide sufficient police services to the inhabitants.
Okay, but this is not the resolution placing it on the ballot.
Absolutely not.
So the numbers would be the same if in fact we wanted to change that.
Yep, absolutely.
Okay.
Yep. This isn't the end of the story.
Thank you.
Okay, under new business. Item A. As per the provisions of section 4.05 of the Charter of the City of Canfield, I move the council dispense with the requirement of full reading of the proposed resolution and authorize it by title only. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Mayor. Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Dragish?
Yes.
Mr. Kosar?
Yes.
Mr. Cicero?
Yes.
Mr. Tisch?
Yes.
As per the provisions of Section 4.05 of the Charter of the City of Canfield, move the council dispense with the requirement of 2 readings of the proposed resolution and authorize adoption of the same upon its first reading. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Tisch. Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Dragish?
Yes.
Mr. Kosar?
Yes.
Mr. Cicero?
Yes.
Mr. Tisch?
Yes.
Mayor, would you like to read the declaration?
I will. Mr. President, I have a resolution of the Council of the City of Canfield. I guess that's it, by title only. I move for passage.
Second.
Second, Mr. Tisch. Discussion? Public comments?
Can I just add one other thing?
Yes.
The reason we're doing this by resolution, if you notice when I read the Ohio Revised Code section, we could do it by resolution or ordinance. Our ordinances don't become effective for 30 days. Doing it by ordinance would require the declaration of a necessity and an emergency. So I didn't want to get into all of that, so we simply do it by resolution.
Perfect.
Okay.
Thank you. Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Dragish?
Yes.
Mr. Kosar?
Yes.
Mr. Cicero?
Yes.
Mr. Tisch?
Yes.
And the number is?
2016-17.
Thank you. Councilman comments?
Ivan.
I have some. I was unable to communicate this effectively this morning, so I want to take advantage of this collection to do that. And Chuck, based on your role in this, I don't have enough for everyone, I'm afraid, because my printer ink is, maybe we could do some sharing or something. There you go. I have, let me set the stage a little bit. I was recruited last year to try to help with a crisis that we had in the city, and it's a financial crisis. And I need to keep, wow, check you.
There. There you go.
Okay, thank you. So, one of the reasons I joined was because of my background. I was a coordinator of change management in my prior life, which involved communication and employee involvement and things that need to be done in order to manage change. So I'm still wrestling with my role on council. One of the other skills that I acquired was planning. So what I did last January, actually, is I started to put together, with input from a lot of folks, the steps I thought would help us in doing what we're doing. And I thought this is a good time to report because we've just had an organization, we made a decision this morning, and I want to make sure that we are coordinated and that I would hand over any of these actions that may belong to someone else to that appropriate person. So early on we set a town hall meeting because before I became on council, I wanted to find out what was out there. So I, as everybody knows, took a survey. One of the things that came out of that, obviously, is how important the police are, safety and security in our community. But also, people felt that we weren't that good at communicating, and that we have improvement to make. As good as the city is, it's always better to be better. We could get better at communication and involving employees. Involving citizens. So we set a town hall, and the meeting is going to be at MCCTC. The date was approved by council. They chose the 15th. I don't know if you remember when we did that, but we got buy-in then. Firmed the date up with MCC, set the time with council. We were going to do it at 5. Input from the citizens said better to do it at 6:30, so we changed it to 6:30. We have a rehearsal date that's set. We have set an agenda which we are modifying now to try to coordinate our efforts with other efforts that are being done. We were going to have a microphone there because we said we were going to have a council meeting, but then we said we're not, so we don't need that. We had input from one of our team members who said, why don't you insert something in the water bill because we don't have money to send out invitations. So that's what we did. We prepared an edition for the water bill, informed Susan, recruited help we did not need. Susan did it on her own. We mailed the first notice. I believe they're out there. The next step we wanted to do was to use the town crier as another invitation to get people there, because there's some skepticism about whether or not we can get involvement from citizens at this town hall. So we're making every effort we can to get people there so that we could tell them what's going on in our city and the importance of this levy that's coming up and the consequences of it not passing. One of the things we learned when we did our survey was that people didn't know the people that work in this building. You know, it's kind of easy to disparage a group, but once you meet an individual, Scott Weimer got up and made a presentation on our church, and I think the standing ovation you got is an outward and visible sign that when people meet the people who do the work, it changes their point of view. So we set up these profiles with the help of JT, and it was actually based on Mike Cook's. And we did Christine, we did Todd, and Scott Weimer. We have yet to set a schedule to do the rest. That's why the way you read this is if it's a G, it's done. If it's a yellow, it's in process. D, the city story to be told. Everyone agreed for a long time that we need one story. We've been asking for that forever. And we're still wrestling with that because it's not an easy story to tell. When you try to put specific numbers on something as complicated as this, it's difficult. So we're still wrestling with that. But we do want one story that we could communicate at this town hall and that could be delivered by Chuck Colucci and his staff. The questionnaire that we did last year, if you recall, we had Jacob and David Hofsis present the results to this group. They're also on the agenda to share that at the town hall. Conduct a focus group. One of the things that happened when we did the questionnaire is it was an 8-pager. The younger generation is more used to working digitally. So the results we got from that questionnaire was skewed to us more wise folks. So we conducted a focus group with the help of Courtney Larson. And the input we got from them was not dissimilar to what we got from the questionnaire, but they had more emphasis on how we communicate. They suggested Facebook, Twitter, other digital forms. They suggested that we amp up our web page. They don't go there because they don't feel like they learn much there. Courtney Larson presented those findings at one of our council meetings. Since that time, Dawn has with the help of IT and Courtney, put out a Facebook page that we're about, after this meeting, to blast out to everybody in Canfield who's on Facebook to invite them to that page. We felt that, based on the experience Bernie and I have had in the past, that people inside an organization ought to know what's happening with their organization before the information gets out to the street. Just how I was brought up, we were brought up. Not to say this isn't a criticism, I'm just telling you what I try to bring to this party. So we conducted a meeting with the people that are on committees that we feel are on those committees, so they must have some dedication to this city and to the employees. Honestly, I was disappointed at the turnout. I think we had 30%. But we tried to tell them the story the information that we had at the time. And again, the feedback we got from them was, put some more specifics to your story. And we're working on that. We're trying to do that. We have, as you know, been awarded, Finance Director Recognition Award for Council. We have a great record for auditors. So we established an award given by this council to our finance group represented by Christine. That was completed and we got good publicity. Again, trying to get the faces of the people who do the work for the city in front of the city. So they just don't see the city as a building, they see it as a person like Christine and others. That was the idea, based on what I've learned from my prior life. We've also learned in our prior life that continuous improvement is an important aspect of any organization, whether it's private or public. And one of the ways you gain information, I don't want this to sound like preaching, I'm reading this, is you benchmark successful organizations. You already know that. At Councilman School, I met a man from Talmadge, and they're running their city very effectively, had the same problems we do, but tried a different approach. We set up a benchmark meeting for Bernie, myself, and Joe. Joe was unable to attend because he was preparing on the 18th for our evening meeting. We met with them, we got good information. We're trying to compile that to share with the council. Item J, we are trying, once we get another award, and we're confident we will, the state feels that our performance by our finance department is worth recognizing by the state, so that when that occurs, Bernie's going to contact Yost. We have the protocol, and we're going to try to get him to come here, and we think that's another photo op and another demonstration to the city that we're good stewards of their money. The Canfield Ministerial Group has been very supportive of things that we're doing that are nonpartisan. So recently, I contacted, Bernie and I met with Father Hazel. Through him, got a list of the ministerial group, nonpartisan, contacted every single pastor. They all want to help us. I sent them a bulletin insert with the information I had at the time. Okay? And they also are amenable to having someone go to the pulpit closer to November to, again, appeal to people. We should have more information by then. L, city checkbook. Part of the benchmarking we've been doing is that 500 cities in this state are online with a checkbook. We haven't decided that yet. I thought we did, but I was wrong. What I would like to see is us as a group decide whether or not we're going to do that. And if we do that, I would like Joe to work with Christine to set the steps required. Step 1, talk to whoever. Step 2, do whatever. Step 3, do whatever. Step 4, do whatever. And ask Christine to put dates on those at her discretion. Now see, out in the private sector, they would give you that date. But I think given the role here and given the workload, it's not my place or our place. So I would ask Christine to work with you, Joe, to set a plan in place to achieve that goal when and if we decide we want to do that. That certainly is a, what would you say, a symbolic thing. I don't think anybody understands how many hits they actually get, but we're way behind the wave on that. Explore communication methods. Part of what I learned from the questionnaire and from the group that I had, the focus group, was multiple ways we could communicate. I think the election last August showed that we had a disconnect with the pulse of the community. And I'm not sure we've done a whole lot more to get better connected. Facebook, town crier, but they said, you know, get an e-letter, do Twitter, put out flyers, do more focus groups, go door to door. And I think Chuck and his staff has, I heard, a strategy to do that. Neighborhood meetings. Go to some of the retirement communities and get on their meeting schedules. Revamp the city webpage. And this is something the committee didn't involve us so much, but I think we could leverage it. We have a poster contest out there for elementary school kids. The Rotary donated $150. This committee that I'm a part of, outside of this council, laid out the contest, distributed to the schools. We have about 30 entries. We're recruiting through the help of a citizen involvement, an artist to help us select the winner. What I intend to do is to have this person who wins this identified at our June 15th meeting, and would invite Chuck Colucci's staff to make the presentation, since it's about safety, and we have helmets to be given. And I'm not making any, it's no hidden agenda, that we're trying to invite families to this June 15th event through recognition of students and others who have made a contribution to this city in either their performance in athletics or music or whatever. And I'm trying to work with the school to do that. Some people are interested, some, because it is vacation time, cannot get them there. But the more students we have there, the more families we'll have there. If we fill the seats, it gives us more opportunity to tell our story. That's not a hidden agenda, that's out there. It will celebrate our city, at the same time segue into, if we want to keep this city the way it is, and our group calls it Keeping Canfield, Canfield. I know that gets some smiles from some people, but that came from people out there. Might sound silly or trite, but the people I talk to say, we need to keep Canfield, Canfield. That's where that statement came from. I'd like to leverage the students. I haven't done anything with that. We're planning June 15th. I'm open. The agenda is still flexible. If anybody has anything they want to offer to help, help is welcome. I think we need robocalls. That's $500. And all we do is upload telephone numbers. If we don't have the money, maybe we could have a printout of telephones numbers from, maybe Susan has them, and we could break it up and make some calls to invite people to the meeting. I will stop, because I know you're giving me the stop sign.
No, I'm giving you the stop sign because there's certain things we can't do as the city. The city, we can't participate.
We can't invite them to a town hall?
No, you can certainly do that, but we can't.
That's what I'm talking about doing.
We can't spend money. We can't spend tax dollars on the campaign.
Okay,
right?
so then what we need to do, if we choose to do it, would be to get those telephone numbers, ask some committee members. You know, we have 80 people
That's
that
exactly
might
right.
be willing to make 5 calls, 5 times 80, 400 calls. Maybe we can't get all 3,000 homes, but we've got to fill seats. If you're asking, you know, and that's help I'm asking
Right.
for. Thank you, Mark.
Yep.
4th of July parade, it's a testimonial to brainstorming. Mike Cook said, hey, if we want to fill seats, why don't we just march the people in the parade right out into the conference center and we'll have them, right? We giggled about that, but then Bernie said, well, listen, there are going to be 14,000 people there, and what happens in the city does affect the township. No question about it, right? SROs, they protect township and city folks. Bernie said, let's have a tent. Let's tell people what we're about, what we're doing. Courtney offered to help. And then we have neighborhood meetings. And then at the very end, I have Celebrate Victory, because I'm confident that we could do this. And I want to work together. I don't want to get in anybody's way. And Chuck, this morning, you know, maybe you and I could sit down and we could figure out how I could stay out of your way, or not. We don't get crossways, which is a serious concern, right? I mean, we got to be coordinated, and I'd love, maybe you and I can sit down with Joe and do this. So one last thing I want to say, and I appreciate you listening to me, but this morning I was unable to express this in the meeting because I felt a bit frustrated about what was going on. In this paper, it's called the Canfield Neighbor. Sorry about this. He just happens to be there. Would you vote for the police levy in November? They often do these surveys. I don't know if you noticed or not. I showed it to Chuck this morning. 57% said yes, I would vote for any type of support for the police. That's part of what's motivating us. 42% said no. And then there were 2 zeros. I don't know whether this was, I know one person was me. I don't know how many are in here, but that's wind at our back. And I think it could, it could have been 80 to nothing, like our August vote, right? And that would have been disheartening. So I think we should take heart, and that's all I wanted to say. I do want to say to you, Joe, that you said that we were to send our input to you for, we had homework on our strategic plan. You said you were going to collect those and present them this morning, but that didn't happen. Instead, it happened some other way. But I want to pass out my input, okay? And then it could be used at a future meeting. Is that appropriate? Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate your listening to me. That's all I have to say. Yeah.
Mayor?
I've been working with Joe. I have not been working nearly as hard as he has.
I don't need that.
Joe brings a passion to his job as a councilman. Joe, thank you for that.
It's a job.
I was working, too busy to even listen to a compliment. Anyway.
I don't want to be. I think that it's. Thank you. That's enough.
I was talking about your passion for this.
Yeah.
I think we all have to establish a passion and throw ourselves into this. We've got to get out into the street and tell the story. We have to tell the same story. We have to all be in step with the other people here. We can get this done. We will get this done. That's all I have.
Thank you. Any other comments? With that, this meeting's adjourned. Thank you.